my inherent nature, which is called Atman or Brahman, is the base on which the entire world exists. The entire world arises, sustains, and dissolves in me. Namaste. My name is Bidhan. 2012 is when I chanced upon Upanishads, and it had a profound impact on my life. Since then, I have dreamt to bring the key aspects of Upanishads in a manner which is simple, relatable, and implementable in our daily lives. So here we are with a set of videos to make spirituality simple.
Hi Vedant.
Hi Preeti.
Hi. So in our last conversation, we spoke a lot about God.
Right.
We understood a lot of different facets of God, right? And we also said that finding God is about finding our inherent nature.
Right.
Right? So I think what I'd like to do is dig a little deep on this inherent nature that you're talking about.
Correct.
So can you tell me what is this inherent nature?
So before we kind of get into what is our inherent self, let us understand where this knowledge is coming from.
Okay.
So there were very interesting people in our country. They were called rishis. Do you know about rishis?
Yeah, like the sadhus who sit in the mountains with matted hair and meditate. I mean, that's what I think.
Right. They were phenomenal people. And these rishis who existed or even exist, say 5,000-10,000 years ago, they were on an enterprise to understand the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality, the ultimate truth of this universe about God and our own self. And in the process, they went into deep seats of meditation. And during those superconscious states, certain knowledge, wisdom was revealed to them. And that was in a very intuitive format. And that wisdom has been stated in our Vedas. And all the knowledge that we are going to talk about today, the source is our Vedas. And the knowledge basically belongs to whom? It belongs to all the rishis to whom this information and this knowledge was revealed.
But didn't Vedavyasa write the Vedas?
No. Vedavyasa compiled the Vedas.
Okay.
So Vedavyasa himself was a great rishi, and he put together the wisdom of all the rishis in a very structured manner. Just like you have a telephone directory in a very structured manner, similarly the contents, their experiences, their wisdom, their knowledge was put together in the Vedas in a very structured manner.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the Vedas now?
We are going to touch upon it. and Vedas has two parts. Veda Purva, which is mostly dealing with Karma Kanda, and Veda Anta, which is called Vedanta, which is also known as Upanishads, which has a lot of spiritual teachings. So we are going to mostly refer to Veda Anta or Vedanta talks, because what you're trying to ask me is that where is God? Who am I? And all these kind of questions have been answered there.
Wow. So we're going to talk a lot more about the Upanishads and Vedanta. Yeah, I have never understood that Vedanta is actually Veda Anta.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's the final teachings of Vedas.
Right.
So we cannot necessarily talk about Vedanta right now in this specific time, but we can always initiate that discussion. But being a banker, I would like to give you certain disclaimer. So what has been
Terms
revealed?
and conditions.
Terms and conditions. So what has been revealed by these rishis and compiled by Vedavyasa, and when we are going to expound at that knowledge, please understand that there is a certain level of preparedness or a qualified mind that is required to understand what has been spoken about.
Okay, I think in a very subtle way you're sort of saying, anyway, you won't understand what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not subtle, it's very obvious. Jokes apart, let's get into it. But yes, it may sound a little abstract because it requires a certain amount of preparedness to understand this, but no harm in at least trying to understand whatever best we can understand. So if in our third episode, I remember we spoke about that I am not my experiences, right? That if I can experience my thoughts, my beliefs, my feelings, my emotions, my body, which means that I'm separate from each one of them. Right? You can only experience only if you are separate.
Right.
So that's something that we spoke about. So the second thing also which I wanted to mention about is not only I am separate from my experiences, I am constant while the experiences continues to change. So let me ask you a question. When you're standing on a platform, you can see the train coming and going.
Yes. Yeah.
Because platform is stationary while the train moves. But if platform also moved along with the train, could you see the train moving?
No,
You
because
can't.
both would be the same speed and you would feel like you're still stationary.
Stationary, right? So the fact that you're able to see the movement of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your feelings, of the world around you, it clearly goes to say that you are constant
Yeah.
with respect to all the changes which is happening around you. The first thing is that I am the experiencer and everything else are experiences. And the second is that I am changeless while everything around me is changing.
Right. So I am able to witness the change because I am constant.
Because I am changeless.
Okay. Okay. So much like when we take a pause.
Yes.
Right. When we are taking a pause and witnessing our emotions from a distance, it means that the witness who is witnessing is changeless.
Yes.
And I'm able to observe the changing emotions as they are changing.
Perfect.
Okay.
So you are the witness and you are the changeless
Witness. Okay. Yeah.
Right? While everything else is being witnessed and everything is changing. Now, let's look at an interesting thing, Preeti, here. Most of our time, our attention is towards things which is separate from us.
Yeah.
And things which are constantly changing. Right? We are always worried about our feelings, about our thoughts, about the world, about the relationships, about the money, everything which is being experienced.
Right.
So we are mostly focused on our experiences. But in Upanishads, those rishis were interested in the experiencer, the one who is experiencing those,
Right.
the one who is witnessing those. And that experiencer, that changeless, what do you call it? Witness. That experiencer, that changeless witness, who is able to experience everything, is called as Atman. You can call it Brahman. You could call it Turiyam. You can call it Sakshi Chaitanyam. Whatever names that you want to give. But the point, what we need to understand here is that I, the observer, who is separate from all my experiences, which is body and mind, what is my nature? Who am I? Who is that experiencer?
What are the characteristics of that experience?
Characteristics of this experiencer, and this is where the words will become very complicated because you cannot define it because it is undefinable, but still you need to put some words around it. Right? And this is what the rishis found out, that the very experiencer, the very me, the very witness is eternal. It is beyond time. The time has a starting point and the end point, and it is in the time something is born, something sustained, and something dies. So something which is beyond time is unborn and will never die. So our inherent nature, the self, is eternal.
Okay.
We also said the self is changeless. Because everything is changing. My body is changing. My mind is changing. My personality is changing. The world around is changing. And I am able to watch the changes because I am not changing along with them. I am changeless. So not only I am eternal, I am also changeless.
Okay.
Right? The third thing they say, that I am limitless, which means I am beyond space, because everything is limited within this space, but this goes beyond space. And it's very difficult to wrap our head around it because it feels that I am constrained in this body.
But my boundaries.
Boundaries are at the level of bodies. But what the rishis are saying, and we're going to talk about it, why we feel that way, but actually, in the essence, we are limitless. Plus, they say we are complete, Purnam. We generally have a sense of incompleteness, and that's why we kind of desire things to complete us. But the incompleteness is at the level of body and mind, but my inherent spiritual nature is complete. Right? And it also goes to an extent of saying that that is the only truth, that is Satyam, which means that my inherent nature, which is called Atman or Brahman, is the base on which the entire world exists. The entire world arises, sustains, and dissolves in me.
Wow. All sounds so divine, I would say, right? Like something like what we spoke about last time.
Yeah.
About how God is just God is the substratum.
Yes.
And we are all just appearances of that, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And so because you're saying that we are eternal, timeless, changeless, limitless, essentially you're describing God.
You're describing God.
Yeah.
And we are describing our own innate self.
Okay.
And another point that they said, that we are Ananda, the nature of Ananda. That means all the happiness that you experience in your mind is my own reflection. So we generally think that when my desires gets met, I feel happy. No. When the desire gets met, the mind becomes silent, the mind becomes quiescent, and my nature shines. My reflection shines on a quiescent mind, and that leads to happiness. Okay. And that's a phenomenal discovery. So this is what was expounded upon, and honestly, for me also, it was very difficult to wrap my head around it, because I always feel that I am inside this body. But someone is telling me that I am limitless. It feels that there is a date of birth and an expiry period. But someone is saying I'm eternal, right? Then there is always a sense of incompleteness. But someone is saying that you're complete. It always feels that if certain points or certain desires are met, I'll be happy. But someone is saying that happiness is your intrinsic nature. So it feels to me like what I'm seeking for, I already have.
Yeah, the God that we are seeking for outside is actually inside us.
But how do we go there is a challenge. Yeah. How do we discover that aspect is a challenge. But this is so beautifully explained in Upanishads. And there's another important aspect. The another important aspect that they are trying to say is that not only our intrinsic nature is divine, the divinity that shines behind me, or the divinity that expresses from me, and the divinity that expresses from you or through you is one and the same.
Like it's interconnected?
No, it's one and the same. It's only one.
Okay.
The Atman within me and the Atman within you, the divinity within me and the divinity within you is one and the same.
So all the rishis are saying the same thing, or?
All of them say the same thing. Truth is only one. And I understand why this confusion comes in, because we have all been conditioned to believe that there is an Atma within me, and when I die, the Atma moves from one body to another.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we have been told?
Yeah. The soul.
The soul.
Yeah.
But it's not that. What travels from one body to another is my Sukshma Sharira. That is sometimes told as soul. There is only one Atma. There is only non-dual Brahman. Even using the word one is not correct. There is a non-dual Brahman. There is a non-dual Atma that expresses through all of us. You are finding this confusing to understand?
Yes, yeah. Because you're trying to say that my essential nature or my true essence is actually not my essence, it's everyone's.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does not belong to you.
Yeah, okay.
It is not limited to you.
Huh.
So let us take a simple analogy, right? Now you're sitting here in this room.
Right.
There's a space inside this room.
Space, yeah.
There's a space inside this room.
Yeah.
Is there a space inside this room, or is the room inside the space?
Again, you're asking these questions.
Simple.
Room. I guess the room is inside the space, yeah, because space is everywhere, not just inside this room. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't say that there's a space inside the room because you can't cut this space and take somewhere else.
Right.
Right? You have just created a structure and you call it a room space. You have created a structure, you call it a pot space. You create a structure and you call it amphitheater space. There's only one space. Right? And we have created artificial division saying this space belongs to me. This is a room space. This is an apartment space. Right? Similarly, there's only one consciousness. And we are like those bubbles which kind of occupy some amount of space.
From the water, right? Because the bubbles are coming from the water, you're saying.
Yeah. So you can say that, okay, so maybe we'll take a slightly different example here. Imagine this entire space is consciousness and this body is like a bubble.
Oh, okay.
So each body is basically capturing small amount of space, thinking it is my space. And when the body moves, it feels as if the space is also moving along with the body. Space does not move. Space is one and the same. Similarly, there is only consciousness. There is only Brahman. And it feels as if
this is my space.
This is my consciousness.
The bubble feels that the bubble is...
The bubble feels that's my space.
Right.
You feel it is my consciousness, it is your consciousness. No. There is only one consciousness, which is expressing through you, which is expressing through me, which is expressing through the plants, expressing through the ants, expressing through people you like, expressing through people you don't like. They're all bubbles. But the space is only
one.
And that talks about the interconnectedness of everything.
Wow. Okay. It sounds, once you think of it like this, then it sounds very amazing. Like, yeah, something to mull over, I think.
Yeah, it's something that we have to wrap our head around it. Because it is different from what we have thought. And these are some of the very important teachings of Upanishads. The idea of the universe, the idea of God, and the ultimate idea of who you truly are.
So are you saying that this ultimate idea of who you truly are, what you just said, so are you saying that finding that idea of who I am, who my true nature is that what spirituality is?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
In fact, if your ability or your inclination or your path or your journey to find your inherent nature and interconnectedness of everything around you is spirituality. And this is an interesting point that you brought out, Preeti. And let's talk about what is spirituality, because everybody seems to have a view about spirituality.
Yeah, there's a very differing opinions also, I feel, on spirituality.
So in our next episode, let us be very specific to understand what is spirituality from the perspective of Upanishads.
Okay. Yeah. That would be an interesting conversation. I look forward to it, Vedant.
I know this is not a simple episode to say we have kind of made spirituality simple, but do you get some essence of what is my intrinsic nature?
Yeah, that inherent nature, which you're saying, one point which stuck out for me, I would say, is where you mentioned that happiness is not when you gain something, it's when your mind becomes quiet, and it's just that true essence gets mirrored.
Yes.
Right? So that intrinsic nature, which is changeless.
Yes.
Because I'm observing, so I have to be changeless.
Right.
Eternal.
Yes.
So there's no beginning and end. It's eternal. Limitless. Because now you have said that it's not mine, it's all of us. Like
Yeah.
consciousness is one.
Yes.
Atman, I think you
Yes.
mentioned. So limitless. Am I missing something?
Look, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What you're getting
I've
the
understood
essence. You're
that,
getting
that
the
part
essence.
of it, yes.
Yeah.
I think the interconnected part is not sitting with my logic yet, but I've understood the essence of what you're talking about.
Yes, yes. So it's important to. I mean, there are words. There are words like spurnam. There are words like satyam. There is a word like ananda. So they call it Sat Chit Ananda, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So they are beautiful words, very powerful words. But the idea here is to kind of bring out the essence of these words in a simplistic manner. And the essence is very simple. The essence is that I am a changeless observer who is witnessing the play of world, including this body and mind.
Yeah.
And the closer I come to it, the more I'll start finding about my own intrinsic self. And the more we start finding out our own intrinsic self, the closer we come to moksha, where the dependency on anything outside reduces dramatically. And then you work out of happiness, out of peace, rather than for happiness or for peace.
Yeah, that constant state of peace and happiness. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Vedant.
Thank you, Preeti. See you next.
Thank you.
If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share for all those who can benefit from it.
And of course, leave your valuable comments below so that we can bring you more relevant and good content. Thank you so much.